Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I'm streaming in portrait. I usually stream in landscape. I'm streaming in portrait. Like, I never understood why it makes a difference. I guess the way that it looks on the screen to you guys, of course. So I'm streaming portrait. It is 6:31 p.m. here in California. And I wanted to talk about something that I found extremely interesting. Um, I was listening to the Impressive Channel. I don't know if you guys know what the Impressive Channel is, but it's basically one of those celebrity news channels. And I was listening to Joe Buttons. And apparently Joe Buttons and Nicki Minaj, was getting into it over some crap that Joe Buttons had said previously. And so she was going back and forth with him. And she basically said, if you have any more problems with Nicki Minaj and you a man, I suggest that you talk to my husband. Like, go for my husband. If you male and you got an issue with Nicki Minaj, go to my husband. So then I before this, right? And I was supposed to make a video about this, but I didn't. Marshawn Lynch. I don't know if y'all heard about the story about Marshawn Lynch, but at his day camp, he was volunteering at a day camp, a football camp. And at this football camp, a mother got mad at him, right? And she addressed him, okay, because apparently her son was on the field being lazy, and Marshawn Lynch kind of lost his patience and was like, "Get the F off my field," right? And so the little boy ran off and started crying, told his mom was upset, like, "Why are you cussing at all the kids?" And so Marshawn Lynch basically said to her, before you go on social media and start blasting me, number one, I use profanity all the time on this field. And what he did ask her before he started explaining himself was, is there a man present? Is there a man that I could talk to? Is there a man that I can address this issue with? And instead of, this mother going to find her man, or maybe she didn't have a man with her, maybe she was a single mom, she decided to address this herself. Now, of course, me, I'm a single mother. I would address, something I felt uncomfortable with in regards to my kids with a man, of course, because there's no man there for, to address this man. But at first, when I saw that Marshawn Lynch did this, I was thinking to myself, the reason why he asked for a man is because, number one, another man would be able to understand how males communicate on a football field. Like, the way men talk, like locker room talk, is real. And if you get your son into that type of sport, or that type of, whatever, of course your son is going to be around a whole bunch of vulgar language. Okay, and as a mom, you have to know that that's the type of aggression your son is going to be around if you put him in such an aggressive sport as football. So the way that men talk to other men is very vulgar, very aggressive. The language is not prissy at all. It's not feminine at all. So if you're expecting for your child to not run off a field crying, you know, if his maybe you shouldn't be putting him in football. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. Like, if your son isn't strong enough to be able to handle that type of, vulgar language, then a sport as aggressive as football shouldn't be something you should put your child in. Okay, because we already know whether it's acceptable or not to us as women, whether it's acceptable or not for someone to speak to our children like that or not. When they get on some place like a football field, or they're dealing with a whole bunch of men, the language is very different on the football field. And women should know this who put they sons in sports. And so, if it would be unacceptable if Marshawn Lynch talked to this woman's child somewhere else, like if they happen to just be walking at Walmart or some shit, then it would be like, okay, this is a problem. But they're in a football field and whatever. So what this brought something to my attention, okay? And I think I said this maybe in a video once before, but I don't think I was very specific about it. And that's why I want to talk about it now. So, as a woman, right, especially on YouTube. I'm not going to say this is something that happens to me in real life, because no just strange man is going to walk up to me and be disrespectful right when he's standing directly in front of me. Men just don't strictly disrespectful while I'm standing directly in front of him. Men don't usually do that. But men online have done this. They've spoken to me in a certain kind of way. And what I've noticed as a female, and what most females know, is that anytime we try to address a male disrespectfully the same way he has disrespected us, men don't know how to receive what they put out. They don't know how to take what they give when they're dealing with women. Men are expecting for women to respond very differently when they give women disrespect. And so for years on YouTube, men have been disrespectful towards me, right? Of course, any woman who has been on this platform, none of us are exempt to some man being extremely disrespectful to us. I don't think it's one woman on this website that is an influential YouTube or content creator who has over 10,000 subscribers can say that she's never been disrespected by some weird man on YouTube. YouTube has got to be one of the worst places for an African American man, because the men here gather together, and the disrespect towards women is kind of fueled here. This is just one of those places where men come together and fellowship in regards to how much they hate women. So this just happens to be one of those places. It's a lot of men trying to make there are there are certain places women are not supposed to be, like maybe a strip club, or maybe just a gentleman's club, a manly environment, maybe the bar shop, maybe just a number of places that men call their place of where they sit down and they deal with each other without women. They sit there and bond and do whatever it is that they want to in regards to women. There's places, physical places like that in the world. Okay, we all know this. But I noticed that a lot of men on YouTube try to make YouTube be that place as well, instead of being able to coexist with. First time I realized that there was this quote unquote gender war between men and women on this site, I was like, okay, maybe if I speak to them in a practical, logical way, as men, they will be able to respond to me in that same way. And I remember the very first video that I made in regards to the how men were addressing women, and I kept saying, as men, when you get onto this platform, the last thing that you need to be doing is addressing other women. You see what I'm saying? Because that's kind of like not manly. As men, you're supposed to be addressing men, and women are supposed to be addressing women, because in my mind, you know, it's like traditionally men, real men address men. It's feminine for a man to address a woman or to be disrespectful towards a woman, even if a woman expresses her opinion. You know, if she has a level of respect for you when she's expressing your opinion, why so I noticed when I came to a whole, I did my first video. I never forget it. I did my first video and I was talking to the Black Manosphere or the Negro Manosphere or whoever. I remember the men that were associated with it during that time. And the very first video I made addressing them, I specifically said, and I was very respectful, and I said, why don't you guys address women? Like, you should never address men. I mean, you should never address, why? I said it backwards. I said, why don't you guys address men? Y'all always talking about how much you hate women or what women shouldn't be doing. And that's just the premise of all of your content. And it's not really geared towards improving men. And I remember I said this, and instead of men logically responding back to me, I got an emotional response, which surprised me, because I was like, wow, like it was like one of the first places I had ever expressed myself and got an emotional reaction out of men. Because if I was to go into, like, maybe Facebook, let's say Facebook, everybody knows I love Facebook. If I was to go into Facebook and address men, maybe a whole bunch of men were having a conversation and they were talking about women, and I came to them and I said, hey, as men, why don't you make more content or post more content addressing men? These men would have literally gave me a logical explanation to why they chose to address women instead of men. They never would have disrespected me in the process. So after on YouTube, it's very different. So men were disrespectful towards me just in general on YouTube. And so I remember when I first started dating my son's father, and I came to him and I said, men are very disrespectful towards me on YouTube. Now, because my son's father portrayed himself or depicted himself as like this masculine man, man, immediately I thought if anybody comes to him and saying anything negative, he's going to defend me off break, because that's what a man is supposed to do. Your man is supposed to be the one that if a problematic male comes to him and says anything about his woman, or is being disrespectful towards his woman, the first thing he's going to do is defend her. It's a simp move if he doesn't defend her. But what a lot of toxic, masculine, disrespectful, negative men will try to convince another man that him defending his woman is simp like behavior, when really the simp like behavior, the weak shit you can do, the behavior that proves you don't have any courage, is you not defending your woman, your wife, your girlfriend, your kids, your baby mamas. When other men are disrespecting your women, it is imperative that you do whatever you can to defend them. Period. That's what a man is supposed to do. Now there are women out there that a man to um I don't know, go out of his way to put his situation at risk for another male who is flat out just not knowing any better. Like sometimes some arguments to me aren't worth it. Like you got to pick your battles, you got to pick your fights. And men are not walking around here in the street being so defensive in regards to how other men are treating black women. And I get that. I get men don't even want to defend women right now, because a lot of women are going out here and barking at men themselves. So other men, when they see another man, a woman being disrespected by a man, and this woman is barking back at this man, all they want to do is pull out their phone and start recording instead of actually jumping in so this woman cannot be physically hit or verbally hit by a problematic male. So I know that it's not men just randomly doing that. It is men somewhere doing that, but that's not what most men do. Okay, the natural response a man would have in a situation like that, his knee jerk reaction would be, as of lately, the new age man to pull out his phone and put that shit on World Star Hip Hop. You know what I'm saying? That's how men operate. That's how men operating right now. And it's really simple like to me. Like the last thing you need to be doing is videotaping a man pounding on a woman. And honestly, there's a lot of women that'll be buck. There's some women out there that don't respect the power of a man. Like I know for me, I will slap the shit out of a man. And let me tell you why I'll slap the shit out of a man. Because there has been too many times in my past, right? Too many times I have let men pound on me. So I'm in one of those situations where it's just like if a man even flinch at me or get buck with me, we gonna start fighting because I've had to defend myself against them. Even my own man. Even my own man. So this is why I'm saying, with my son's father, when the men on social media came to my son's father, right, and started talking this foolishness in his ear about me, the first response this man should have had is like, why are you talking to me disrespectfully about my woman? Number one. Number two, why do you feel like, it's, why do you feel comfortable enough to even come to me to even say these things to me? See, when my son's father came to me and told me all of these people, these men, it was just men really, why do they even feel comfortable with communicating with you? The first thing you should have did was tell them to go straight to hell. That would have been a masculine move, because number one, you dealing with a person that's your woman. You dealing with somebody that done washed your dirty ass drawers. You're dealing with someone who's cooked your dinner. You're dealing with someone who is pregnant with your child. You're dealing with someone that you've had sex with. You're dealing with someone who's giving you money. You are dealing with someone who has been around your family. You've been around hers. This is not a person that you just jumping off on the side, or some chick that you just know from Facebook, or so it's not that type of situation. This is a completely different situation. So why in the world would any man come to you and get away with even being able to say anything negative to you about me? This is what I was thinking in my mind. And this is when I realized I wasn't dealing with a real man. I was dealing with a simp. So a lot of men with toxic masculinity, right, have this definition of a simp in their mind of a man who is defending his woman. When a real man defends his wife, his child, his girlfriend, the women in his life, his mother, his sister, his whatever, he's not going to allow another man to be disrespectful towards the females in his vicinity. He's just not going to do it, because that's not what real men do. That's why when I gave the example of Marshawn Lynch, I was saying when he was addressing this woman, instead of him feeling comfortable with addressing her, he said, is there a man I can talk to about this? Because there's a different conversation men have with each other. I mean, real men. Real men. We're not talking about little boys. We're talking about real men here. Conversations that men have with each other. It's a different tone. It's a different type of situation. It's a different level of respect. It's a different level of understanding that a man will have with another man. So instead of women feeling so buck to get in another man's face who's problematic, women, you have to start choosing more masculine, real men who will defend you so you won't even have to do that. And nowadays, it's not even a lot of men doing that because they too busy doing a whole bunch of simping. But if you say to a man, yo, you not defending your woman is real simp, like they somewhere with their toxic masculinity listening to some weird man or doing some red pill or MGTOW or a black manosphere or whatever type of shit, listening to that shit. And they're thinking simping is a whole other different definition, and them not defending their wives and children is something that there's supposed to do. They're supposed to let women go out here and have to do these things on their own. Men are supposed to defend their women, and women are supposed to give men space to do that, because when you don't give men that space to do that, they are emasculated. You begin to emasculate them, and we're talking about real masculinity here. We're talking about real masculinity versus real femininity. Okay, if I'm really a female, if I'm deep into my female, if I'm in touch with my feminine side, I'm going to allow my masculine man to defend me anytime I'm dealing with somebody who is problematic against any man. If she got a man, if she has a father, a brother, a man, any of that, she should never have to defend herself. And like I said before, I think I said this in a live stream before, when things happened with my son's father, right? And I know damn well my son is never going to have this problem because he has very positive male role models around him. When the things happen with me and my son's father, right? Damn, the men in my family, the immediate knee-jerk reaction for my family was, do you want us to handle him like a man? Because we can handle him like a man. You know what I'm saying? And I was thinking to myself, first of all, I don't even think that whooping a man's ass who doesn't even feel like they're doing wrong is going to work, because some people just don't have the intellect to be able to understand why, or the consequences of something that they've done. Sometimes some people just not prepared. They look at the consequences of something that happened to them and they're still sitting there wondering why it happened. You know what I mean? Like, if someone does something bad to someone sometimes, and especially men, when they do something bad to a woman, a lot of times they don't even realize that they did something that bad until later on. So I was like, first of all, he has to be able to comprehend he did something screwed up first before you risk everything you got as a man to go out here and handle this man like a man. Like, I don't even think he understands the concept of masculinity altogether for a whole bunch of other men to come to him and say, listen, what you did to Soncerae was incorrect. You should have handled it this way. Like, you have to have a healthy understanding of what masculinity is to begin with before you can address another man in a masculine way, or for you to understand when another man is coming to you in a masculine way trying to explain something to you. If you don't understand masculinity, or if you have this toxic definition of what masculinity is, you're not going to be able to understand when a real man come to you and say, yo, you should have handled this way or that way. There are so many men out there that have like this horrible definition of what masculinity is. So they're going around and doing all types of terrible stuff to women. Because let me tell you something, no masculine man is going to, number one, disrespect the hell out of any woman, whether he thinks she's promiscuous, whether he thinks she's on some hot girl summer tip, whether she's a stripper, porn star, prostitute. If anything, he's just not going to deal with her at all. Like, he's not even going to waste his time calling her names, or stalking her or harassing her, or nothing like that. No real man is going to do that to a woman, because those type of behaviors aren't included inside of the definition of masculinity. And when you've been dealing with enough masculine men, you know this. Or if you are a masculine man, you know this. But a lot of men who have a toxic definition of what manhood is believe that in order for them to feel like a man, they have to degrade, disrespect, and devalue women. And that's the only way they can feel like they manly themselves. And then it becomes this conversation about whether the woman they are disrespecting or being derogatory towards to their whatever behavior they are displaying that is negative towards a woman. The question now becomes: did this woman deserve this treatment? Or you hear a man say, oh, she did something to me first, so this is why I did blah 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 to her, like he's a little boy or something. Like that's something little boys that don't even understand the concept of masculinity say and do. Oh, she did such and such to me first. Unless, and even if a woman, let's say for a woman stabbed you or shot you or something like that. Okay, you might want to defend yourself. You might, want to save your own life. You a man. That makes sense, right? But if a woman has a difference in opinion from you, or I don't know, she sleeps around with a whole bunch of people, or if she's selling her ass, or if she used to be a webcam hoe, or if she was, I don't know, twerking her ass on Instagram, or whatever it is negative that you don't like about a woman that isn't being directed towards you specifically, it isn't masculine of you for you to attack this woman's character, what type of wife she is, girlfriend she is, mother she is, Instagrammer she is, whatever the case may be. It isn't masculine. And for some reason, a lot of men feel like it's masculine to be disrespectful towards a woman every day, to drag a woman, physically or verbally abuse a woman. You're not showing your manhood when you disrespect women or hurt women. You don't have to hurt a woman in order for your masculinity to be seen. And a lot of toxic men still believe that in order for them to be proven male, or for them to look good to their homeboys, or to whatever, they gotta disrespect, women. And women, like I said earlier, there are women out there, right, who are so not in touch with their femininity that they don't even allow men to defend them. You know what I mean? They so busy when they see man doing something derogatory towards them, instead of them allowing their man to handle the situation, they ready to fuck this man up themselves. Like for instance, I don't know if you guys remember this, but I can't remember what little rapper this was. But this little rapper said something about Beyonce, and Jay-Z squared up on him when the three of them got together. I can't even remember. I think it was one of the Migos. I'm not sure. It was one of these little young millennial rappers, and Jay-Z, he had the rapper said something about Beyonce, and Jay-Z was not having it. You didn't see Beyonce like jumping down this man's throat. You saw Jay-Z handling this man like a man. And that's what you're supposed to allow your man to do. But you have to make sure you with a man to begin with. I'm thinking, like I said, we can circle back to my son's father and him dealing with men on YouTube. Men on YouTube came to him and said derogatory stuff about me because, of course, I've been on YouTube for many, many years. And even though I came to my son's father and said, hey, there's some disrespectful ass men on YouTube. Some of them just like that because I'm black. Some of them just like that because I'm female. Some of them just like that because somebody else told them to be like that. But they're there. So instead of him addressing these men like he was supposed to in a masculine manner, when they did finally reach out to him and say whatever it is that they said to him, this man decided to join in with them. That is like so bitch made. I've never seen no one simp harder. Like, it's like when people define simp, listen, either you're simping for a man or you're simping for a woman. Okay, you can do either or. If he defended me, a bad man would have said, oh, you simping for her, you simping for her. But the fact that he didn't defend me, he ended up simping for another man who has a penis. Why, if you have a penis, are you simping for another person who has a penis? If anything, you need to be protecting the vagina you got around you. Since when does another man's penis becomes more important than the vagina that you dealing with every day. You see what I'm saying? That's how you know the difference between whether you're dealing with somebody who's genuinely masculine or someone who has toxic behavior. No man, all right, no man, no real man is going to allow any man to come and disrespect his woman, whether he's good to her or not, whatever the case may be. If you a woman and you dealing with a man where you done took care of him, cooked for him, cleaned for him, gave him money, basically took care of him in his time of need, or been, a real friend to him, or whatever the case may be. If you were this good woman, catering, kind, all of this niceness, and when it comes time for him to defend you, he can't even do that. That's the wrong man for you. You need to get that man out of there. There's no masculinity in that man whatsoever. And honestly, if you have to do so many things for him, you was being that man mama to begin with. You understand what I'm saying? Like, in order to keep this man around, if you got to wash his clothes, cook his dinner, damn near chew up his meat for him, cut his stuff up, you know what I'm saying, change his pampers and shit, then maybe you shouldn't have been with him to begin with. You understand what I'm saying? You understand? So maybe, you know, women need to be more selective, and be a little bit more feminine, especially black women. And I know that's very difficult. I know that's hard for me to for some black women to do, because we've had to defend ourselves so much, because so many men have been simping for other. So many men have emasculated themselves by not defending you. Of course, you think, well, he ain't going to defend me. I got to take care of myself. You know, so that makes sense. I was just put in that position myself. So I understand. I understand why women go out here and defend themselves and have to be all, brolic and rah-rah loud and cussing out a man and screaming in his face and be ready to about to punch him, because there's men out there that don't even know how to respect themselves or respect women. So of course, as women, we got to deal with that. And then there's men out there that are supposed to have our backs that don't. And it can be very disappointing when you have a man's back and he don't even have yours. You know what I'm saying? That could be very disappointing. So I get why a lot of women, aren't anxious to put their guard down. They deal with these men, deal with them. But I had a level of respect for Nicki Minaj when she was like, yo, if you got something to say to me and you a man, I'm gonna need for you to talk to my husband, not me. You know what I'm saying? Go address that with my husband. That's what she was supposed to do. That's what any woman is supposed to do if she inside of a relationship. And as far as this example that I gave with Marshawn Lynch and him addressing this single mother, or this mother who was defending her son, he asked her, "Do you have a man here with you?" And she said, "Yes." I'm surprised that the video was of him talking to her then, because let me had been at football camp with my son and something like that happened with my son and my husband there, or my boyfriend there, or whoever is there with me. I'ma have that man address that man. Period. I'ma have that man come to that man and be like, yo, have a man to man. That's why it's called a man to man. It ain't supposed to be me as a woman barking in some man's face for what he's done to my son. Now, because I'm a single mother, of course, now I would have to be like, okay, let's talk about this in a man to woman way. I'm not gonna come to a man barking and all rah-rah and shit if he's not disrespecting me. Yeah, I feel uncomfortable about what he's done to my son, but I want to sit down and I want to have a conversation with this man to see where his head is. And if he disrespects me during conversation, then possibly this conversation could escalate to something else and I have to handle it the way I handle it. But if I have to address a man because of something he's done to my kids or something, if I just have to address a man, the first thing I'm going to come to him with is a level of respect. Let me give you an example of somebody that I came to a level of respect to, um, masculine, on YouTube. So there's this guy that does has this channel called the Star Report, and I don't know dude's name for some reason, but he had just did an interview, and inside of this interview, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, he mentioned me in the video. So when he did the interview that week, I hit him up via email, all right? And he didn't respond, right? Now, it wasn't until like 2 or 3 days ago I got a response. And it was someone from his team saying, hey, you hitting him up on the wrong email address. Hit him up on this one. So I hit him up on a whole nother one. And I expressed to him, like, yo, you just did an interview with somebody 3 weeks ago that has something to do with me. And he was like, well, how can I help you with it? Yeah, I did a interview 2 or 3 weeks ago. Now, I realized before I even reached out to this man that I'm dealing with a man, number one. Number two, I'm dealing with an adult. All right. So I can come to him and address him as an adult, as a man. And if it escalates to something else, then we might have a problem. But I'm still going to try to keep my composure then. So I said to him, you two sat down and you had an interview and you encouraged this man to speak about me when I could have just been left out of the conversation altogether. You brought me up. It wasn't like the interview was popping off and the person he was interviewing brought me up. No, this guy from the Star Report brought me up. Right? So I said to him, like, what would possess you to like bring me up in conversation? You know? And he was like, well, first of all, I didn't allow this man to disrespect you, number one. Number two, is it accurate that the person I interviewed are beefing over some old shit, right? So I said, if this shit was so old, why would you bring me up? Like, whatever issue that me and this person had that you're interviewing, and you brought me up to this dude. He wasn't even talking about me. You brought him up. What was going on in your mind for that to happen? Is what I was trying to figure out, right? And so I'm calm with it. And this is when I realized he made a mistake because he didn't know how to answer. He just basically was on some, um, I'm not going to go back and forth with you. I'm like, I'm not going back and forth with you at all. I'm having like a dialogue because I wanna know what was going on that made you bring me up, especially if it was old. And I feel like as a man, right, instead of addressing me in a manner like, oh, I'm just not gonna go back and forth with you. If you he said to me, you were the woman that made a video about this man getting punched in the face and you laughed hysterically. I said, no, that's not what my video is about. If anyone remembers my video that I did a couple of weeks ago, um, I showed them sympathy for this man he was interviewing who got punched in the face, right? Oh my God, my eyes are burning. Woo! He had got punched in the face, right? And everybody saw this video, and this video was going viral, and everybody was making fun of him. And inside of my video, I was saying, you know what? This is unfortunate that so many people are making fun of him, and everybody was like, "Don't feel sorry for him. Why you feel sorry for him? Because if the shoe was on the other foot, he wouldn't have felt sorry for you." So that's the video I had. But here, the Star Report dude he was telling me that I made this video making fun of dude. And I'm like, yo, that is inaccurate information. I totally did not do that. I don't even know what the hell you talking about. Like, but instead of him being man enough to be like, you know what, I did make a mistake. Maybe I shouldn't have brought you up in our interview. Those weren't my intentions. My intentions weren't to offend you. The first thing he did was show a level of toxic masculinity and just get frustrated with the situation. Instead of manning up to what he did, he decided to be a little bit like negative towards me. And here's what I appreciate about this Star Report guy. And I said this to him. I said, what I do appreciate about you, and when you did this interview with this guy, what you did do was try not to disrespect me yourself. And I appreciate that about you. I definitely appreciate you being the man that said, you know what? I have no reason to disrespect this woman. But then when it came time for him to talk to me and address me as a woman, he couldn't handle that. That's the issue now, because it's like, dude, why not just tell me, those weren't your intentions? Because I still don't know why he brought me up in this interview, but it just seems kind of messy. You know what I mean? Because the whole interview wasn't about me. It was about their whole situation. But he brought me up in it, and I couldn't understand. Like, why would you bring me up if you knew that the topic of me is sensitive to him? Okay? He don't like me very much. And the interview is about something else entirely that has nothing to do with me. Why would you purposely bring me up to be messy and gossipy, right? That's what I think, right? That's what I think, to be messy and gossipy, right? So I just wanted to understand where his head was so I wouldn't be so judgmental towards him. But for some reason, the men on YouTube have like this weird thing that they do where they gang up on women for nothing. Like, for no reason at all. If a woman disagrees with you, okay, fine, she disagrees with you. But to attack her, or to stalk her, or harass her, or to go on years and years on top of years, like, just talking about her every day, that shit is weird. And that's not a masculine trait. And any masculine man knows this. So that's why I said I respected the Star Report guy when he didn't disrespect me himself, and he said that he also encouraged this guy during the interview to not disrespect me as well, and I appreciate that. The only other person I know that has done that is probably Gab Talk Media. He's the only other real man on this entire site who was just like, you know what? I have no beef with this woman. I got my own thing going on. I'm not going to allow anybody to come onto my platform and disrespect her as well. It's unnecessary. That is some manhood. That's masculinity. And Gab is just a guy from YouTube. He never met me in person. We don't have anything going on off of YouTube. Everything is all YouTube with us. So I respect the fact that he did something as masculine as not jump on the bandwagon, or not jump up on this mentality, or adapt to this mentality of dragging women on YouTube. I really appreciate that about Gab. So anyway, that's what I respected about the Star Report guy. I think it's called the Star Report. Is it called the Star Report? I don't remember. I definitely think it. Yeah, I think it's called the Star Report. I gotta know this guy's real name. If y'all know his real name, put it in the chat, because I can, when I go to listen to the playback, I can go and see this guy's name. I don't know why I didn't ask me what his name was. But yeah, so that conversation is over. It's not like we're sitting here beefing. I just wanted to give an example of an experience that I had with a male where I felt like he didn't handle it in a masculine way when it came time for him to deal with me. And I feel like, as a woman, right, had I had a man, I probably would have had my man address this man. But I don't have a man. So it's like I had to come to myself like, yo, listen, could you do blah, blah, blah. And a lot of time when you're dealing with women in business, like, I have to deal with men all the time when I'm handling business. I think for the many years I've been in the entertainment industry, it's been predominantly male. So I've always had to deal with men in business. And I would have to be as tough as they are to get business handled. I can't be a woman and be weak and think some business about to be handled. Nah, I literally have to go out there and handle it, you know, like I got a set of balls my damn self. You know what I'm saying? I have to have a level of strength to be able to, get things popping. And so I've always been like having to deal with men all of the time. And it's the same with YouTube. Every single situation I've gotten in, even when I'm dealing with people in IT, usually at my job, any job I get that's in IT, I'm usually the only female there. So I have to deal with men in a manner to where I have to show a level of femininity. And if they do disrespect me, I still have to use my femininity to get them to understand how they disrespect me, instead of instantly turning masculine and mirroring back their behavior. You understand? But sometimes you're dealing with so many, if you're dealing with a toxic male and they are being disrespectful towards you, your femininity as a response, responding to them in a feminine way or intellectual way, doesn't work. You have to deal with them the same way they're dealing with you. And it's terrible because from the outside looking in, can't nobody tell which one of y'all the man or the woman, because both of y'all sitting there acting masculine. And it's unfortunate that women even have to behave that way. I hate having to behave, but gotta do what I gotta do sometimes, you feel me? So anyway, I got some stuff I got to do. I just wanted to share that with you guys for a moment, with you ladies. Ladies, be a little bit more feminine. Give men the space and opportunity to be masculine around you. If you're dealing with a problematic male, have your man deal with that male. Don't deal with that yourself. Have your man handle that man. And hopefully it won't escalate to a point where it's a physical altercation. But men deal with each other different. Men have a level of respect for other men when they're dealing with women. Like, if a man is protecting his woman, his child, his girlfriend, his whatever, other men are going to respond differently to that. It's like a level of respect thing. I can't explain it, but that's how men are. When men are protective of their women, when they're dealing with other men, the way that other men respond to that is a whole nother level of respect. It just has something to do with how men deal with each other. And I've seen men do it, So it's not like, I don't have any men in my family, or, I've seen men do it. I've seen my stepfather do it. I've seen my uncles do it. I've seen my cousins do it. So I know how real men act. And we're talking about real men here. We're talking about real husbands, businessmen, fathers. I'm seeing the men do this. So it's not like I'm coming from a place of I'm trying to tell men how to be masculine. What I am saying is I've seen men be masculine, especially in regards to their kids and their wives and their girlfriends. So trust me, when you dealing with a real man, ladies, he is not going to let you sit there and fend for yourself. So if you ever get in a relationship with a man and you're sitting there having to fend for yourself, or you have to defend yourself against him, that is the wrong man for you, and you need to move forward. You need to move on from dude. Okay, so it's people in my chat. How you doing? What's up, Mark? What's up? Mark, you been watching my whole chat. You ain't had to block nobody. Oh my God. Oh my God, Mr. Live. What's up with you two? Oh my God. A whole live stream and nobody got blocked? Woo! Woo! Finally. Nobody got blocked? Oh shit! Oh shit! This mean for celebration right here. Stop it! You mean to tell me not one troll? Get out of here! This is you know what? I'm gonna buy Nikita a gift. I'm gonna buy Mr. Live a gift. I'm gonna buy Mark a gift. Because I can't believe we had one solid live stream and not one damn troll. That, pat yourself on the back, admin. You're doing it. You're doing it. Let's keep the peace. Let's keep the peace. You heard what I'm talking about? That's all we want to do. Express your opinion, but be respectful so you won't get blocked. Thank you to everybody that's in the live chat. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad. I'm glad. No, it's people in here talking. HTV3 was talking. Lisa was talking. Kenya was talking. Landy H was talking. Lee 85, what's up? You was talking. I am who I am. Yep. There was people in here talking. Don't think it wasn't nobody in here talking. People in here talking. Listen, I've seen less people in the chat and more trolls. So trust me, I don't care if only 2 people was in here chatting. What a troll in this motherfucker. What a troll. So anyway, I got to go, y'all. I appreciate y'all being here. Listen, when you listen to the playback, because I know some of y'all might go and listen to the playback, give me some feedback. I need some feedback. I need some comments. I need to hear what's going on. I need more video topic suggestions, of course. And I definitely would like to have more geared towards men on another channel. I'm going to create another channel for you guys and have this channel be solely towards women. But I do want to still have a place for the men inside of my audience, because I don't want my men to feel like I'm totally giving up on them, because a lot of them are positive and a lot of them are supportive. Like most of my admins are male. Mark is male. Male. I don't know if No Name is male. Is No Name a woman? Because no name is no name. So I don't know. I don't know. I know Nikita's a woman. I know Toy Doll is a woman. So, most of my other admins, I haven't seen 2 of my other admins in a while. And I know No Name has a new job. So No Name is not around as much. But I appreciate the positivity in my chat. Thank you. Thank you. So anyway, I gotta go, y'all. Have vision and stay focused. Namaste.